Hello, everyone, and welcome to the webinar. My name's Gary Allen. I'll be your host today. I'm really excited to be joined by Alan Wilson with GLJ Benefits. Alan, thanks for joining us today.
You bet, Gary. What an honor to be on your to be on your show. I've always loved listening to it, and am honored to be here.
Well, thank you. You're like Mr. ALA, so we're very excited to have you here.
Well, yeah, it's ALAN. So
Oh, you definitely have a leg up there. My last name's Allen too, but you got to have a little bit of different spelling to get there. So I just wanted to give a little plug for our friends at ALA. This is it's a great organization, as Alan will attest. So if you're in the audience and you are a legal administrator and who's not a member, please take a look at this organization. It has both a great national organization as well as chapters all over the country. And it's a great opportunity both for collaboration with peers around the country as well as education. So please take a look at ALA. I'm going to introduce myself for just a minute before we dive into today's topic. I'm a practicing lawyer forever. I graduated from Stanford Law School, and even though he had one of the world's best business schools, a stone's throw away from the law school, I received absolutely no business education at Stanford Law, and that's true of almost all lawyers. So I went into practicing law cold and then had a couple of experiences early in my career where I was with firms that imploded because they weren't the best run businesses, even though there were tremendous lawyers and great people in those organizations. I was fortunate to land in a really well-run law firm where I stayed for 30 years. I learned how to build a big successful practice. And along the way, I've learned some secrets to business performance, and then founded Lean Law, which is a legal billing software company. And I've got a new venture we'll be talking about a little bit later on, but I'll leave that for then. Really excited to be joined by Alan today, who's the president of GLJ Benefits Consultants. He's got a ton of experience in employee benefits and insurance strategy, and advises many small to mid-sized law firms nationwide. So what we have in common is we have the same customers. So Alan, would you like to say anything more about your business before we dive in?
I just think I mean, our business is really just helping people. People helping people, and people buy from people. People do business with people. We've been very, very fortunate with our association with the ALA in being introduced to firms all across the country. Our programs that we've created specifically and exclusively for ALA members, which are 12 to 15 programs, have hundreds of firms in each one of those programs. We're very blessed, and we've just learned so much along the way within the legal community, and it just keeps growing and just keeps changing. The one thing we can always depend on in the legal industry is that it's going to change tomorrow.
Love that. Yes, yes. And I'm really excited to dive into this topic today. We're going to be talking about benefits and profitability. So if you didn't catch it from my introduction, I'm pretty passionate about helping law firms become more profitable and successful businesses. And it's easy to think about benefits as, well, that's just a sort of necessary cost that the law firm has to undertake. But in preparing for this, I've really come to think of it in a different way. And that's our premise for today, is that law firm that benefits are essential for law firm profitability, not just for, as a standard offering or whatever. And I want to start that conversation with just a couple pieces of data that I ran into in preparing for this. One is that 82% of associates who leave law firms do so within the first 5 years. So you hire someone, you spend a lot of time training them, and then they go. They leave your firm. And uh, the shocking statistic that I saw is that losing that fifth-year associate can cost a firm $300,000 to $600,000 when you consider lost revenue, recruiting, and training for that person. So it's a big deal. So and we're in a people business, right? So your product is your people in a law firm, and the time of those people. And so if people are, if you lose someone, that's just like, having some big asset of your company just go up in flames. So we want to talk about it with that kind of lens. So I have a ton of questions about this, but let's start with this, Alan. So as I said, my research shows replacing a single associate can cost a firm up to $500,000 or more. So is this consistent with what you see in the law firms that you work with?
It's absolutely right on. People do, or clients don't do business with, uh, contrary to, maybe law firms' beliefs. They don't do business with law firms. They do business with lawyers. And
Mm-hmm.
that projection of that attorney or that lawyer into the marketplace, that's really what the law firm is. And when the law firm is taking care of that, that lawyer, that associate, that non-equity partner, that partner, it then translates into, into quality retention, and it doesn't have that financial impact of, it's huge, right? Any business knows that that the easiest and least expensive way to create new business for your business, which is a law firm, and it's the business of law, is to develop and project with the existing clients that you have, and building on that trust that you have with those clients, and having them tell your story. So when you lose that opportunity, and you lose those stories, it's just so much of a larger impact financially to the firm than you can even really imagine.
Yeah, you said something that really struck me there, which is, I was thinking in terms of, the just lost revenues. Nobody's working on the clients matters, the recruiting, the training. But you said something that was really important there, which is that lawyer is out in the community building relationships and projecting the firm into the community from maybe not the first day they start practicing law, but not long after that, if the firm is doing a good job. So you're kind of creating a network from day one, and that you lose that when that person leaves.
And, uh, and,
And how do you
and,
measure that cost? That's
Yeah,
huge.
yeah, absolutely. And a lawyer is no different than anyone else that works at a firm or a business. They're either talking wonderfully about where they work, or they're
Hmm.
talking negatively about where they work. It's it's just that simple. Now, when you're in the service business, like lawyers and law firms are, if you have a disgruntled employee, partner, associate, paralegal, whomever this person is or individuals are, if they don't believe and feel like they're being taken care of, they're not noticed, they're not recognized, they're not, they don't have a good pathway to wherever, whatever their goals are, then it becomes a negative situation. So it's well beyond this, 300,000 to $600,000 number that in lost revenue. It's a loss of credibility, and you cannot put a number on that.
That's really interesting. I'm thinking back to the two firms I was at that imploded. Um, and, all the backroom conversations that were going on and, dissatisfied people. And I totally feel the value of that negativity. I mean, these are 30 years ago, and I still, feel the impact of those negative things going on in in those firms. So that's really well said. I just want to check in with the audience and see if anybody has any stories they'd like to share in the chat. Just what's your experience with the cost of losing good employees? And, we know that people can be shy on these things. So, but please speak up and we'll keep an eye on the chat for you.
Yeah, I like
Um,
this. I like this environment of it being, yeah, there being, really an open discussion, and people asking questions along the way, or sharing what their experiences have been. I've always loved that about this, about this forum.
yeah, yeah, let's, yeah, please feel free to speak up. So, why is, well, we've talked about this, but, there's this big question like, why is it so financially damaging to law firms to lose people? And we may have kind of hit the main points, but I just wanted to bring that back into focus for one more minute.
Sure.
Yeah,
I think that, if there's not an environment that has been created within the firm of of collaboration, I'm valuable, to the organization. I have a pathway. Maybe it's an associate that doesn't understand what the pathway to becoming a partner is. There's all of those pieces that are so vital, for communicating with and staying in communication with with the people who work at the firm, that things can start down spiraling and go south pretty quick.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, let's let's dive into benefits as part of the answer here. So, um, so the data shows, and I think we know that most firms, the salaries they pay, they know they have to be competitive. That's kind of table stakes. But the surveys show that lawyers often leave firms that offer better flexibility, more benefits. So why is it that benefits can be more decisive than salary? And I'm going to, talk about I assume you know our friend Sharon Abrahams
Oh,
uh,
absolutely.
at ALA. I had her on here some months ago, and she was really hammering on this point. It's not just about money. It's not just about salary. So tell us why benefits are so important.
Well, so benefits are really, they become part of the total compensation package. And when I'm friends with so many different recruiters, and as well, and we talk about what are those benefits that are our attorneys are people looking for, but especially for lawyers, there's all those basics that are out there that are, basic group benefits, right? Medical and dental and vision, and most importantly, life and long-term disability, especially long-term disability, but long-term disability that's focused on if a lawyer becomes disabled and cannot function in their daily duties, and they're able to be paid a disability, but also be able to continue to be a lawyer.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
there's certain contract language and all of those kind of things that are in there, but as a whole, it's so important that the law firm commits to communicating on hire, and also so from recruitment to retaining that employee. So training on the front side, this is part of your total compensation. Here's your salary, here's what your bonus structure looks like, but here is what your total compensation looks like, and here are your benefits.
hmm,
And that becomes so important, especially in today's world, because there's so many new benefits that are out there that make a holistic approach to retaining good talent. And there's so many, Gary, there's so many different, there's so many layers of demographics now that are inside of firms, right? We have
right,
four generations coming up on 5 generations inside of law firms. And those older generations are like, well, we pay for medical, and we pay for dental, and we pay for
hmm.
those basics, and we pay for life insurance. We got you covered there, and long-term disability. Gosh, what else do you need? And there's so much, right? So it's really understanding your demographic makeup within your firm on what the new crowd and what people are looking for. Heck, even going as far as saying, are they pet owners? Right? I mean, knowing who is working for your firm, if they own pets, by golly, you better be throwing out pet insurance availability to them.
Yeah, there were so many dogs in my firm on any given weekend that would have been a tremendous benefit.
It's and the thing is it's not something that the firm necessarily has to actually pay for. They just make it available. They
Right,
know they know that they have a great opportunity, something great that they can reach out and get. But is the demographic of the law firm made up of young married people, or
hmm,
single moms, or all of those that have kids? Are there a lot of kids? Are you paying for, if you're paying for family, or medical, or contributing to that family medical plan, or
hmm.
your employees are buying up to that family medical plan, or even insuring a child, you need to know that that particular demographic is likely to continue to build their family.
Right.
And there's also I just had one just recently, a couple of weeks ago. They said that they lost 3 attorneys. This is a big firm. Okay,
Hmm.
when I say it's a big firm, they're 500-600
Yeah, yeah.
employees, right? But they lost 3 key rainmakers to,
Mm,
and they lost them to really a boutique firm, because that boutique firm was offering family planning. They,
mm.
they were offering a family benefit, to where they wanted to be able to start a family, yet they were having difficulty. So they wanted benefits they wanted a benefit that helped them with in vitro. They
Right.
benefit that helped them with young mothers being able to, you know, to be able to have a milk service,
Mm,
for
hmm.
their babies, and they didn't have it. And it caught them by surprise because, they'd always said, well, they have a great benefit package, but they didn't have that.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Well, I want to comment on a couple of things that you said there. One is, as you're talking about how important it is to understand the firm, I'm thinking, I never really thought that benefits are really an extension of your culture in your firm. And, one of the most important things for retaining people is a strong culture that people buy into. And if your benefits are not consistent with that, if you've got a family-friendly culture, but you don't have any family-friendly benefits, you've hurt yourself there. And an example of that is in my firm, our compensation, we had a compensation system that was production based, and our competitors like to call us "eat what you kill," but we had a culture that was not "eat what you kill," and it was based on looking out for each other, kind of on the softer side of things. And I mean, we had a really successful partner there who got a terrible disease that disabled him. He was like a state wrestling champion in high school. So it was like this stud just was laid out in ways you can't imagine. And, the firm not only had good long-term disability in place for him, but fought like hell when you have a claim like that, and insurance companies are not always so excited about paying those once you actually get into something like that. But that was, I think that really showed our culture and how it's just like, a true what you kill firm would have said, sorry, you're not producing, see you later.
Yeah, and
And that
Gary,
was not the way it came out.
yeah, and Gary, it's so important that those who are in charge of or have the task of purchasing benefits, and I'll give that example again, that long-term disability benefit. It's so important to know what the contract language is in that coverage.
Hmm.
And, you know, uh, with long-term disability, there's a thing called, own occupation definition. And that's in the way, if you become disabled, if you become disabled, uh, you're going to get 60% of your pre-disability earnings to age 67 or normal retirement age, or maybe it's only 20, maybe your contract is only for 24 months. Maybe your
Hmm.
contract is only for 5 years. So, and that own occupation definition for uh, allows for, and that's the majority of what's out there, is this own occupation definition, right? So what that means is that if you're an attorney, and let's say you're a litigator, and you can't litigate anymore, and you have this own occupation definition, you can go out and get another job outside of the firm. You can go work for a CPA, or you can,
Hmm.
you can go be a Walmart greeter. You can go do, you can go do something
Some
else.
days I felt like doing
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
right. Yeah. But you can go do something else, but you can't be a lawyer.
Right.
So everyone says, well, we're covered because we have own occupation. Well, you're not, because they can't continue to be a lawyer and be paid their disability. Now, there's a hybrid language called own specialty occupation definition, which is actually what we have within our program, with for the ALA membership. It happens to be through Principal Financial Group. And that own specialty occupation definition allows them that if they become disabled, they can still they can't be a litigator anymore, but they can
Mm-hmm.
still be a contract lawyer, they can be a family lawyer, they can still be a lawyer and still be paid their disability benefit. So it's important that that language is in that contract. There's also what's called an and definition, and that means quite frankly, and or definition. In the majority of contracts that are out there for disability, you have if an attorney, they have to have a loss of income and a loss of duties. Now, in the hybrid, in the hybrid contracts, which is the one we have for the ALA, is it's a loss of duties or a loss of
Mm.
income. And
Interesting.
some
Yeah.
people say, well, those go hand in hand. They don't. They actually don't when you start getting into it. But it's so important that, and I see it happen so much that, well, the only time we really talk about our benefits is once a year, and we don't really go into the contracts, and and we, the broker is a friend of one of the attorneys, and and they came in and we've had this disability for a long time. Well, that you don't have that, and when that person becomes disabled, and they're not going to be able to get their disability and still work at the firm. Do you know that? And
Mm-hmm.
when it happens to one of the partners and they go to the administrator and say, well, why didn't we know this? That becomes a difficult
That's a
conversation.
really tough conversation.
What's
Yes.
important to know what it is that you have.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the other new types of benefits that are coming around now. Um, Things like telemedicine and employee assistant plans are now, kind of becoming very common in the benefits packages. So what kind of impact are you seeing from firms that adopt benefits like those?
So here's the great impact. So if you want to make a splash with your group, with your employees, with all of the members of the firm, it is telemedicine is everyone knows, pretty much everyone knows about telemedicine,
Yeah.
because
Hmm.
of what happened to COVID, right?
We had to.
Nobody
Yeah.
could go see the doctor. You had to call your doctor. Every doc tried to put in something of a telemedicine program. There's one company that is predominant in the industry, which is Teladoc, and we have that program for ALA. But telemedicine is just simply 24/7 access, 24/7,
Hmm.
5 access to a board certified physician in your state for purposes of a consultation, okay? And they can write a prescription, right? They can't write opioids or they can't write those things, but for purposes of almost as a replacement for urgent care, right?
Hmm.
So urgent care and the cost of medical plans is growing and continues to grow. But if you can have a standalone telemedicine program, and many people have telemedicine programs inside of their medical plans, but
Okay.
many of those carry a $40 copay every time you call, or maybe it's just a nurse answering. This is a board certified physician that you can call, and your family, covering your family at no copay, zero copay, and unlimited calls. So it's so important to be able, and you can cover, so when your family, if you're covering someone in your family, you're covering maybe a child that's in college and
Hmm.
they're out of state. um, those are so important to people, and it helps the firm from a profitability standpoint, benefits and profitability, right?
Hmm.
You can bend the curve of utilization of your actual medical plan then your rates don't skyrocket every year. So
Right.
it's important to bend the curve. So that means taking that telemedicine program and putting it outside of the plan, because the plan doesn't see that activity.
Got it. Hmm.
And that's very important. That's very
Right.
important to be able to
Hmm.
do that. The other one that's huge especially now, is EAP, and
Yeah.
that it has behavioral health. And behavioral health is so important in today's world, and it's been recognized. Mental health is being recognized as something that people go through every day. We don't know who's going through what, but that's behavioral health is really anything from anxiety to depression to alcoholism to abuse to those just those piece addiction, those things that people really need help with. And a great EAP program offers a crisis line, offers 24/7, 365 access to a counselor, um, they have the ability during those sessions then to set up a robust visit session. And really,
Yeah.
typically EAPs have like a 3 to 5 visit, you know, benefit for someone who needs that. The one that we have created for ALA, it has 8. So,
Mm.
and it's per occurrence. So, it's just,
Yeah.
that is enormous. Being able to provide your employees from a firm and those who work at your firm a benefit that they can take care of their physical well-being and their mental well-being for an inexpensive cost. You can provide those two programs and those two benefits for less than the cost of a latte every month and cover all the families.
Yeah, that's certainly been our experience on software as a software company, that you're able to give people something that means a lot to them about something that's really important, and it's really not that expensive, and so that one seems like a no-brainer. You better have that one on the list.
And it's a huge home run. It's
Right.
just a huge home run for like what we were talking about before, creating that environment of, hey, I'm working in a place that really cares for me. They're and
Exactly. This
and
is a
communicating that on a consistent basis, not just once a year at renewal. Hey, by the way, we have this. Let people know throughout the year. And there are materials that come. Have something posted in your, in your break room. Have something posted. Send out emails. Send out reminders to people saying, "Hey, remember that we have this, and please make sure that you utilize it because that's what it's there for. And we care about you and your family. We want you to make sure that you're taken care of."
Yeah, it's a
That,
great cultural bridge.
you bet it is.
Yeah, and I stand on my soapbox all day long talking about the importance of culture in law firms and how that plays into profitability. And this just helps to tie into that. So I think that's a great point. Well, let's turn to a couple other types of insurance that you guys offer and are important for law firms, and that's professional liability insurance and cyber coverage. And am so happy that I never had to invoke either one of them during my career as a lawyer, but I
You're
was
lucky.
sure glad they were there. So, how does those types of coverages build trust and stability in the workplace?
So professional liability and also certainly cyber that is and is paramount in today's for benefits. And it's many that are at the firm that are in decision making roles say, well, that's really not a benefit. People aren't really benefiting from that. That's just something that we have to have. That's something that just protects us from being invaded, or it protects us from a lawsuit. Those are just necessary evils that we have to protect ourselves against. They're right in saying that. Yes, that's true, and especially with cyber and also with LPL. However, communicating that you have quality coverage to all that work for you, and letting them know that they have a safe place to come to work, and that the environment that they're working in, whether the firm has chosen to allow people to work from their homes, or whether they're working within the walls of the of a office, it's so important to know, not just know that they have a safe place, but have everyone participate in that safe environment. And that means training.
Mm-hmm.
That
I was
means
just going to say that. Yeah.
that means setting policies and procedures. That means don't just go buy cyber insurance. Set up some policies and procedures and have those tested. Ensure that people are not leaving their computers on, that don't have their, I mean, I could go on and on and on, right? You don't have your password, sitting out. You don't, you make sure that if they're using a computer at their home, that they're not emailing information to their house into that computer. Boy, we had
Right.
a terrible one, on
You
that. But
learn that the office manager never asks you to buy Amazon gift cards.
so many things with that,
Right.
there's so much that comes with that. The managing partner, or the CFO is not going. I'm not going to be sending you an email asking you on your vacation to sign a check, an emergency check, to the bank, and it looks just exactly like the bank. I guess I
Yep.
better sign this, and then
Mm.
boom, the firm's out $150,000 or $1 million of something
Hey.
that high, and it's like, whoa, what just happened? Well, you sent me this. No, I didn't send it to you. So it's so important to have that. And I'd like to add this, that many LPL policies will have some sort of cyber coverage inside of the LPL policy. However,
Mm-hmm.
we always recommend a standalone cyber policy, because typically the coverages, and depending on who it is or what it is, I mean, not all of them, but many of the coverages that are inside of an LPL policy, well, we have cyber in our LPL policy, so we don't really have to pay for that. When you look at it, many of those won't even buy the stamps that have to go onto the letters to your clients that say, hey, we got invaded.
Mm.
That coverage is not there. A standalone solid cyber policy is incredibly important. We have,
Yeah.
we work with firms of all sizes and created a program that you can find at gljcyber.com, and reach out to us and we'll help you with that standalone policy. But it's so important to have it separate and to have the right limits.
Right. Well, and as you said before, to do the training and the policies and procedures, because there's nothing like prevention when it comes to both professional liability and cyber.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I want to turn to smaller firms, and that there's data now that they're going after laterals pretty aggressively. So how does a benefits package help a smaller firm win the competition against big law?
Well, I'll tell you, I gave that example earlier. Here was a boutique firm, small firm, looking to recruit lawyers, and they wanted a certain area of practice, And they knew that this particular large firm, they knew what their benefit packages were because they had somebody who had left them and
Right. Hmm.
started, right? So they knew what the benefit packages were. So they came in, this small firm came in and said, you know what, we're going to create a great benefit package. And we believe that we can now go and find rainmaking attorneys that will come and join us because they need these particular benefits. And this other big firm or these other big firms, they're not going to do that. They're not thinking that way.
Right. Hmm.
They have a hole within what their benefit package is. So this is a lesson for both here.
Right.
Make
Hmm.
sure that your benefit package doesn't have these holes in it. And they stole three rainmakers from this big law firm that now are in this boutique firm, and they are able to reap the benefits of the profitability now that was lost over here at Big Law. So
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
a lesson for it's really a lesson for both. Pay it.
It's a great equalizer.
It really is. It really is.
Let's talk for a second about whether benefits add complexity. I've heard legal administrators worry about that. So what's the real cost in your overhead, and how do you simplify administration so the firm doesn't, trade retention for red tape?
Sure. I think one thing that's very, very important, on this, is education, is ensuring that you have a partner. If I'm an administrator and all of a sudden I've got all these new benefits, gosh, how am I going to administrate that? How do I have ease of administration, not just for me, but oh gosh, we're adding a new benefit and now I'm asking people to enroll in this, and I'm
Hmm.
working, and oh no, not another benefit that I have to get into. So the partner that you deal with from a law firm, and and an administrator or whomever is responsible, whether it's a committee, whether it's whether it's a buying committee, if it's a CFO, COO, whoever is responsible for the benefits, and then that administration of those benefits, it's important to have a partner, which is usually an agent or a broker or a brokerage, that provides tools to help make administration seamless for you. And what I mean by that is that are all the plugins right for an online enrollment system that you're not enrolling people with paper any longer. Anyone who's enrolling, any firm that's enrolling people with paper, please call me. We have a solution for you.
So
It
what online system do you like?
so the system that we use is a system called Employee Navigator.
Mm.
Absolutely fantastic system. It comes when you're one of our clients. We provide it. It plugs into the carrier. It also plugs into your payroll system. And it's so important to have a great payroll system that those things are seamless. There's
Hmm.
connectivity between the payroll system and your carriers, not just for workers' comp, but for your benefits. And there's that perfect circle there of your broker stays connected and with you, not just at renewal. They're not just sending you the renewal and saying, oh well, you got an increase this year, sorry, and we're trying to make it
Hmm.
better for you. You are connected with them, and they provide you quality service every day when you need it. And they provide training on that system to where an employee, if they want to know something about their benefits, they have a portal. They can just log right into the benefit.
Right.
They can
Right.
view the benefit. They can help to file a claim there. They have their policies. Policies are all in one place. If they have a life change to get married or whatever else, there's still a way to then to contact and let their HR know, and then their HR helps them to open a window for a small
Hmm.
time, and then they can enroll, and then the administrator has complete administrative power and access to be able to manage the benefit efficiently and not have to continue to go and well, you got to fill out all this paperwork. You're also your partner in who you're buying your benefits should be providing the education for your new hires.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's huge, right? So that this administrative nightmare, that many firms have is, well, gosh, I've got 5 new hires and I'm spending all this time trying to educate them. No, get yourself a partner that will do that for you and that does it with a personal touch and
Hmm.
technology that makes it an easy step for them for hiring and for letting people go. For all of those pieces and parts where it comes with Cobra and all of that,
Right,
just
right.
make sure you have the right tools to make that administration easy, and it's not expensive. In fact, I mean, I know, at least for us, that employee navigator, I mean, when we deploy that to our clients, they get it, and we train them.
Good deal. So what's your favorite payroll system? To,
My the favorite payroll system that we have is definitely iSolved.
mm,
iSolved, it has an amazing payroll system, and it's not just payroll. Their payroll system gives you so much more. They have a human capital management system that's incredible. They have an HR component that fits onto that. That also, if you have any questions on HR, you pop
mm.
it in there, and it gives you the answers.
So is it suitable for all size firms or?
All size,
Okay,
absolutely all size. And
interesting.
the one thing that I will tell you that was developed when we rolled out that iSolve program to the ALA association members, which we have hundreds of firms in it. They originally, when we rolled that out 12 years ago, we did some of these sessions with chapters to have them look at it. And we had an administrator raise their hand and they said, there's something missing here. Well, what's missing? I don't see a total compensation report, right? And that's what we're
Hmm.
talking about, what we were talking about earlier.
Hmm.
We want to be able to, at the end of every year or quarterly or whenever we want to do reviews, we want to be able to provide and communicate to our employees what their total compensation package is. And that's
Hmm.
what we talked about, and that's what's so important, right? For retention is not just communicating what their salary is, but communicating all of their benefits and what that cost is that the firm is picking up, right? It's because
Yeah, I
that's
mean, I've seen those with employment offers where they'll
yeah,
build in, here's what, we have a system that does that, but you're right. I don't think I've seen it it's something that's automatically generated for the annual review. And I think
here's
that's a really great thing to remind people about.
they said, we'll build it if you'll design it. So
Hmm.
an administrator who actually was over the CLM program for ALA designed this
Hmm.
report that at the end of every year, payroll and benefits, remember, they're all connected, right?
Right. Hmm.
With that system, they are connected with each other. And then at the end of the year, when they're getting ready to do their reviews, they go into this system, they push a button, and it generates a nice little page for them with a graph, and it lists what their salary is, what their benefits,
Yeah.
here is your total compensation package. And it was built specifically for law firms. So when you ask me who's the best for law firms, it's myself.
Yeah. Okay. That's a compelling testimonial. Um, if I wondered if you had any other stories you could share about where a firm upgraded their benefits and saw better retention or reduced turnover.
Yeah, sure. Let me, I would say that, uh, I would say the biggest one, or one of the, one that I can remember that I recall is, uh, uh, we were doing, doing along with another, company, we were doing, we were doing a retention and succession, uh, uh, we were consulting on retention and succession for this firm.
Mm,
And one thing that we found that stuck out was they did not offer, for some crazy reason. We didn't understand. It was part of our process that we went through in discovery, but for some reason they did not have long-term disability. They had everything else. And they said, well, if they die, we want to take care of them, but if they become disabled, they didn't have long-term disability. We pointed that out. We pointed the hole to them. And it was so blatant that they were missing this, that during the course of the interviews that we had with each one of the associates, the non-equity partners, and the equity partners, we asked them, because the managing partner was like, well, I'm just not really sure we really need that. So we made
mm,
it part of our questioning. And we said, so we noticed that you don't have long-term disability. And resoundingly, we heard that, well, yeah, and that's a problem, because I got to be honest with you, this firm does it. We heard that more, not
hmm.
prompted, not, well, are do you know other firms that have that? We didn't ask that question. We just said, how important would that be for you to, and they said,
Right.
well,
Hmm.
we had 5 people within that firm say, well, I'm actually, look, I'm looking at another firm. Now, they would never tell that to the managing partner, but they would tell it to
Wow.
the consultant that walked in, right? So when we went back and said, gosh, you're going to lose some people. And it's because of a benefit. And I don't think, that here comes that 300,000, 600,000 number, you know.
Right.
Yeah, and a couple of these were, people that had been there for a while, and they were doing very, very well. They had a great clientele. And they were, look, this is a benefit that we don't have. And also what we learned on that as well, and I think that this is important to note, because it's this complete solution of retention, right?
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know, and I know that you and I had talked about this, have talked about this once before. One thing that we learned was, boy, you really have to know your people. And if you're a managing partner at a firm, knowing your people and what their goals are is so important. And
Right.
understanding if they're comfortable is so important. That same exact firm, in the same session, we had gone in, we were there for a week. And, we met every night with the managing partner after we had found, as a huddle. And when we first met with them, we said, well, tell us about each one of your non-equity partners. So he did, he went through it. And he said, well, there's just one person that, just doesn't join in anything. They don't want to be an equity partner. This person is a great lawyer. that's where we want this person because she's amazing. She,
Mm-hmm.
she just is a great lawyer and she doesn't want to do anything else. Okay. And he goes, she doesn't really participate. She doesn't come to lunches. She doesn't come to, she doesn't do that stuff. So we went and talked to her and we asked her, we said, hey, tell us about your thoughts on becoming an equity partner. And her answer was, it's the only thing that I think about every day.
Really?
I I want to be an equity partner so bad, but she said this, I don't know how to get there.
Mm,
And there wasn't a pathway set forth to become an equity partner. She didn't know. She didn't know. And because there wasn't that conversation and communication, there was this just came blatant, right? So when we told the managing partner that, he just looked at us and he just said, I never knew that. We said, when was the last time you talked to her about it?
mm-hmm.
Knowing your people and what their goals and objectives are very important. And then once you know that, you can create a benefit package that will keep them. And one of the benefits was she just wanted to know what the pathway was.
Right,
Forget about medical, forget about
right,
this. She just wanted to know what the pathway was. And that ultimately ended up being a benefit to her.
right, right. That's so interesting. And that was one of kind of my big picture questions is we're talking about retention and benefits are one element of retention, but not everything about retention. What does a complete package look like for retention?
Boy, I would say proportionate benefits. And what I mean
Mm-hmm.
by proportionate benefits are once you have selected what it is that your benefit package is going to look like, and what it is, you've talked about what your goals and objectives are with your employees, you understand what your demographic is, you understand all of those pieces and parts. It's having proportionate benefits. Now, what I mean by that is that your second year lawyer doesn't need as much coverage or as much in proportion to, you have an equity partner over here that is, or a partner or a budding non-equity partner that is making, a lot of money and is billing a
Mm-hmm.
tremendous amount. Their long-term disability, their life insurance, those things that they should be attainable for them. If they become disabled or they have a death, it's a bigger situation than,
Right,
and I'm not, when I say bigger situation, it's a bigger potential profitability impact to the firm. I'm not saying that one life is worth more than another. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is proportionate benefits are important. And many benefits that are out there can be tiered to fit where
mm,
people fit within their lives, and also within their segment within the firm. So
yeah,
that
interesting.
is a
Mm-hmm.
complete solution of retention because that's getting people benefits where they are today.
Mm-hmm. So I think we're almost to the hour. Time for one more question. So for the firms listening today, what's one low cost, high impact benefit they could try out immediately to start reducing turnover?
I can give you a real quick one, or real quick. EAP and Teladoc, easy. You can do it for less than, you can do it for less than, you can do it for $9.95 a month per employee,
Right.
and
Mm-hmm.
that's less than giving them a latte once a month. I mean, it's
That is a kind of
available.
pricey latte, but
It's
not,
absolutely available, but I will also add this though. Yeah, exactly. I will also add this.
that one's got whipped cream and salted caramel. You know,
Yeah,
that's really a fancy latte.
it's got a third shot to it. So I will tell you free access to a an RX card, we have something called Clever RX. And if you reach out to me, you can get an RX card, a prescription card that,
Hmm.
or a prescription that you just download online, and you're able to, it's free. The firm just contracts with it. They pay nothing.
Hmm.
And everyone downloads that. They have access. So when they get a prescription written, they can go on there, put that prescription in, and they can find every every pharmacy that has that prescription within a whatever radius you want to set,
Wow.
and
Hmm.
it'll give you what that cost is. Now, sometimes their cost is better than what you have in, from your medical plan. So if you choose to go and do that, and be a good consumer, and go spend
Hmm.
$5 instead of $25, you just select it. You go to that pharmacy, you hand them that coupon, and they
Hmm.
honor it. That's huge. Another one is pet insurance. We have a program also for pet insurance that the firm doesn't pay for. They just provide the opportunity. The employee goes online and creates their own. It's through MetLife, and they create their own policy for their dog or their cat, multiple pets,
Hmm.
as long as they're a dog or a cat, and
Yeah.
they pay for it directly. The firm doesn't pay. So
Ah,
those
that's
are
terrific.
quick and
Yeah.
easy, and they pay a lot of dividends.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Alan. It's been a pleasure talking with you this afternoon. I learned a lot about benefits and how they can help a law firm to keep people and improve profitability. So I really appreciate your time this afternoon. Um, I, I just wanted to check really quickly to see if there are any questions from the audience. We didn't see any come in, but happy to stay in for a couple minutes and answer any questions that you've got.
You
Okay.
bet. I was honored to be here. If anybody wants to reach out to me, they can.
All right. Thank you so much. And just wanted to tell everybody that we will have some handouts that will go out, a law firm report card to test your profitability. And we'll get the slides and recording, and a link to book a consultation with me if you would like. So um, we hope everybody enjoyed the webinar, and we are adjourned. Thank you, Alan.
You bet. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Alan. Great job. That went really well.
Was that okay? I was hoping that, I was kind of getting a little, verbose there, and I don't know if I got or gave you the opportunity to talk about your lean law launch on
No, I
this.
think this was okay. It came out. It worked just fine. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, I'm
Good.
happy to do it, Matt.
All right.
Anytime. I really appreciate you, and this is really great for him.
Appreciate you as well. Thanks, Alan. Have a great day.
You bet.
Bye
See you.
now.